good evening. This is Spirit Journey, and today is Sunday, August 23rd, 2015, and it is about 7:40 p.m. What I'd like to talk about today is something that happened to me. Something happened to me today and yesterday. I see that I have a lot to learn from this experience. I'm too preoccupied with what other people supposed to believe or act like. It's an assumption about what people supposed to do. And I'm learning the lessons that is presented to me is that, stop assuming about what other people do or say, and that you're your own individual and so are they. There were two incidences that happened. The first incident happened actually yesterday. I was with all three of my dogs, and I was at a park near where I live. A woman sits down. She could have been in her 60s or 70s. She was very loud. She was using profanity. I just wanted to enjoy myself sitting down. I felt a little uncomfortable initially because she was very loud and used a lot of profanity. And then our eyes met, and she says, "Oh, you look different with your glasses on." And I'm thinking in the back of my mind if I've ever met this woman. But either way, she took that as an opportunity to come over to sit next to me. She also had a dog. She had a small dog. And she asked me a question about, she had brought her dog to the doctors and learned that her dog has worms. What do I give my dog? And so I told her, and then she started saying, "Oh, now people tell me." Said she had a dog before, this particular one, and that no one ever told her that she was supposed to give her dog worm preventive medicine. And I don't want to judge her, but I was surprised at her response. And I think deep down I felt a little irritated with her. I think because of her age, and that she had dogs before, and she seemed unaware about pet health. So I think that was part of the problem. But the other problem was that she started yelling. She was yelling. She had a very loud voice, and she was starting to yell. And one of my dogs was getting agitated and started to bark very loudly. I kind of felt sorry for the lady, and I wanted her to kind of calm down. So I thought by trying to reassure her that maybe she'll start to feel a little better and that there's hope. So I said, I'm sure your dog is going to do well. At least you brought the dog to the doctors, and just something like that I was saying. It didn't help. She was still very agitated and getting my dog upset. So I said to her, this may not be a good time for us to talk, that I see that my dog is getting upset. We shouldn't be talking anymore. That something like that it's not a good time. She said, "Well, why is your dog getting upset?" And she's yelling that out also. So I said, "Well, she didn't seem to get the hint." So I said, "Well, you're yelling, and my dog sees this, and she can sense that you're upset, and what you're projecting out is upsetting my dog, and that's why she's barking." "Well, I never heard a dog getting upset because of people yelling." "Oh boy, I see you got your dog trained. You trained your dog." And I was surprised at that response. I took that as that maybe she thought I trained my dog to stop barking so I could tell people to leave. No, not at all. Animals could, just like people could tell that other people are upset when they're yelling, and that she was upset. Animals could feel energy or whatever. They can tell whether someone is upset. So she just seemed very naive, not getting the hint. And I was really trying to be tactful. And when I told her about that that it's not a good time to talk, and I said, well, I really feel for your situation. I feel your pain and everything. I really hope the best for your dog. That didn't seem to help her. She got upset, and right when she was about to leave, some people had walked up towards me. They were commenting on my dogs. They liked my dogs and they wanted to, say hello and everything. And so the lady had responded, oh, don't go near her dog. They don't like people, something like that. And I'm like looking at the lady. It wasn't her concern or her responsibility to talk to these people. But she said it in a way that was vindictive. She didn't like that she had to walk away, and so she took it out on me and didn't want the other people to talk to my dogs. So I was like amazed at her behavior, because she seemed very immature, and she was a grown woman in her 60s, 70s years of age, and her cursing. And it seems like as I get older myself that I don't want to be around people who curse and use profanity or yelling. I feel that I'm very sensitive to that environment. So I try to go into very peaceful and quiet environments. And then today, I was walking to Central Park, which is in Manhattan, in New York. I was on 57th Street, I think it was, and there was a lot of commotioning, police cars, and large masses of people. And I asked someone that I was standing next to, I said, hey, do you know what is going on? And the person gave me a flyer and said, oh, there's going to be a topless parade. These women want to have the right to go topless. I was surprised, and the parade actually started, or the demonstration started maybe 4 minutes right after that. Just before the parade started, a man, also about the same age bracket, in their 60s, or even, I think he was more in his late 60s. He was crossing the street, and he's now maybe 5 or 6 feet away from me. He had a professional camera. He had a gigantic lens on it, and he starts taking my picture, real cold. I think he did twice, and I said, "Hey, well, hey, I like a copy." A lot of people, when I'm in the street with my dogs, a lot of people. They generally ask first, says, oh, your dogs are really nice, I'd like to take your picture, whatever. I thought, oh, yeah, sure. And I usually say, oh, can I see what it looked like? Hey, you could send me a copy. And usually the people who ask me are relatively young people. They have their smartphones, and they're real amiable. But this man, he was totally obnoxious. He ignored my response, and he turns and talks to some fellow. Oh, I'm busy right now. Real nasty like. I'm thinking, you approached me and you approached me and you took my photo without asking, and then you're gonna talk like that to me? And I stayed there, wait for him to finish. And the parade didn't start yet, too. I was also waiting for the parade. And then he finally finishes, maybe after 2 minutes maximum. And so I said, oh, hey, you took a picture, hey, I'd like if you could maybe email me the picture. He says, you gotta be kidding. No. I said, why not? I said, well, it's customary, it's custom that, when you take someone's picture or something, they said, well, I didn't take your picture. I took the picture of your dog, and I can do what I want. I said, well, the custom is, you take a picture of someone, you send them a copy. I used to have a camera, and if I took pictures of friends, whatever, you always give them a copy. I said, well, I'm not you. I was amazed. And I said, I can't believe what I'm hearing. I'm shocked. I think that's what I said to him. What do you mean you're shocked, whatever? There's nothing to be shocked about. I said, no. Something like that he said. And then he walked away. Oh, no, he said, I asked him, well, I really would like a copy of it. He says, well, you got to pay for it. Pay me. And that was my experience. I looked around to see if anyone was observing this man's behavior, and I just said, boy, I never met anyone like this person, totally, what a jerk. I think I might have said that. But I was totally surprised at his behavior. Here he's another middle-aged person. Both people, the one for today and yesterday, both of them were black people, American blacks. And I said to myself, I said, my problem is I'm prejudging how we're supposed to act, and that the so-called elders, and that elders are supposed to be wise people, of the community, and they're supposed to have sense of right and wrong and maturity. I asked myself, where did I get that mindset, that belief system? Television. I watched too much television growing up, and how certain people or old African customs of alleged African customs that the elders of the community, the older people, that they're supposed to be in teaching mode at all times. And I realized this is a false belief that people are going to act how they want to act, and to assume because someone comes from a particular background and expect them to behave what you were taught about a particular demographics. It's not so. And I have to learn to stop being shocked about people's behavior and stop thinking in racial or social terms or religious terms, and that we're all individuals. And if I start to really get that message, that things won't really shock me as much. I guess also my upbringing, that my parents always told me, hey, you have to present yourself a certain way, and my parents were always in a teaching mode and disciplinary mode with me. So I think a big part of my expectations because how my parents were. And again, not everybody's my parent. And not everyone has the same upbringing or experiences. My other concern was about recently there have been a lot of media attention about, as they call, Black Lives Matter. And that slogan also reminds me about reparations. Reparation with regard to American blacks having their compensation, no other better word, to be compensated for the atrocities that have and are happening to us in the Americas, and that it's a desire to have our own state, whether it be here in North America or abroad. But my preference to that matter is to have our state here in North America. So I asked myself, if we're to be getting something like this reparation and statehood, we need elders who have leadership abilities, who will be able to make a rightful discernment of a situation, to serve as almost like judges when there's a social dispute or something, that they'll be able to have the maturity, the knowledge, and the wisdom to handle the situation. But unfortunately, the social climate here, I'm not seeing this sense of maturity. I see how immature we are. And if we act so immature and people see how we treat one another, people saw what this man did to me and what the woman did to me yesterday. And people who watch are going to say, wow, this is how they treat one another. And if they see that, why should they then respect you? If people see this negativity and disrespect, they're going to start acting out in a negative way towards you. And I'm starting to wonder whether the things that have been happening to us, at least that has been publicized in the media, what has been happening to black men and women, is I start to ask myself, are we doing certain things that might be provoking others to have a negative attitude and response to us? We have to start looking within ourselves to try to come up with a solution to a problem. Not all our problems are based on other people. I believe that some of the problems that we face is self-inflicted. Self-inflicted meaning that we do things to ourselves and to our community, and it has negative ramifications. And this could spill over into other communities, and certain sentiments could be directed back towards us because of our behavior. This is self-defeating. So I share this video not to come across that I'm better than anyone, but that we have to be careful how we treat one another. Regardless of your race, religion, ethnicity, we have to be courteous to one another, and we have to stop being selfish. And I feel that in this spirit journey, I feel that when we start smiling more and start enjoying ourselves, it will just radiate outwardly to other people. And maybe they will learn, hey, why is she happy? And what could I do to have that inner peace that she may be experiencing right now? So this is why I share this information, that some things we could handle within ourselves by the things we do and say to ourselves and to one another. And if we are too slack, that this could result in negative feedback to us and defeat us. So again, I don't want to sound like I'm condemning, but I just share this for just enlightenment about a situation. I hope that you're able to share this video with friends and family, to comment below if you have any questions or concerns. Please feel free to subscribe, and again, to give me the thumbs up, okay? So peace to you guys. Bye-bye.